of 5 Eyewitness News. It's Twin Cities Live with your hosts, John Hanson and Rebecca Wood.
And a little bit later on, we're going to meet a man who has gone to the top of the world. Will Steger is going to be here in the Twin Cities Live studio.
Our next guest grew up in Richfield. It was one. It's great pie.
Yeah, that was really good.
The only bad thing about doing the show is that pie is not going to be there by the time we're done with our job.
We'll have to take a little break.
Gonna have to make another one. I'll ask Marjorie to make us another one. Well, back to today's show. We've got a great one for you, including right now this story that we're going to tell you about, and this man that you're about to meet. He's a Richfield graduate. He also graduated from St. Thomas and then spent the next 40 years dog sledding his way across some of the coldest places in the world and into the history books.
Yeah, really, most of you already know this man. Not only has he done this for himself, he's led expeditions, pioneered new technology and education, and is a champion of polar environmental issues. And it's an honor, truly an honor today to have Will Steger here with us today on Twin Cities Live.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. This is unbelievable. You're all bundled up. I see that.
Yeah,
You
cool
cold
here.
easily?
Yeah. He was telling us before the show.
I know.
Tell us about your favorite temperature, you said.
82 degrees.
82
above.
degrees.
Yeah. I do like the cold weather, but I love Minnesota summers.
So how do you go from, loving 82 degrees and all that warmth to, hey, I'm going to go explore the Antarctic?
Clothing is the key here. And I just got back from the Arctic in end of July, so I actually missed the summer. And I really missed the warm weather, but now here we are again going into another winter.
Yeah, dress in layers, so many expeditions. We mentioned 40 years of doing this. Is there one particular moment or event that stands out to you as the tops?
Yeah, I was really crossing Antarctica in 89, 90, 3,700 miles, something that most people said we couldn't have done. And May 3rd, 1990, I remember the final day on that and crossing safely. The concern there was always the storms and the dangers, but we all arrived safely, and that was a great international collaborative expedition, and it was a great moment in my life.
When you decide to go on an expedition, what kind of things do you have to do to prepare for this?
Well, first of all, the area that you're going into, we're always working with dogs, so you have to train the dogs and sometimes breed a special breed of dogs for where you're traveling. And then the food, you have to set up the food. We pretty much, if we're not hunting, we are pretty much organic, real simple food. Super Value sponsored us last time. And designed special clothing. All the clothing is it's not off the shelf. It's
really
hand designed. And I worked with the North Faces and Gore-Tex and Land's End, all these companies throughout the years.
Well, when you say it's specially designed, what kind of things do you have to take in consideration when designing these clothes?
Well, the clothes that you buy off the shelf is usually a lower cut, and these are longer cut, maybe not as stylish, but very, very functional.
Gotcha.
And certain types of pockets, hoods, and fur ruffs, and so forth that'll give you the protection. The clothing design gives you the edge over the survival.
We saw a couple people there with you. How big is your team?
I generally travel with 6 people. I like 6 people with 3 dog teams. So it gives you 3. Each dog team is totally self-sufficient with a tent unit. So you have 3 tents, 3 dog teams, 6 people. That's a very good number. You can break the group up in a number of different components, and you usually have 1 extra person that can do the science or the photography. And so that's a good team number.
Do you have any scary moments up there with having 6 men? I'm sure not everybody is as experienced as the next. Is there any scary moments?
Well, we always travel with women too. So with the last expedition we had 2 women and 4 men. But 1995 we were crossing the Arctic Ocean and we left on March 9th. Perfect day. It was 50 below. It was on the Russian coast, but we were crossing a shear zone, a very dangerous area. But a storm came up on our first day up, and all the ice that we were on broke up, and we started drifting out to the open ocean. It took us 2 days to get back, and we were in like 16 hours of dark. It wasn't a 24-hour light situation. We had bears that were stalking us at the same time. It was extreme, almost out of control.
Stalking you?
Stalking us, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, they were hungry bears.
Yeah, and they can smell you. There's something different in the air.
White bears are usually curious, but these particular bears were hungry, and they were actively on our trail.
Well, we hear about a lot of different explorers that explore all kinds of different things around the world. Some don't come back. Does that scare you?
Not really. I'm pretty safe. I started climbing when I was young. And the reason I stopped climbing when I was 21, 22, because I knew if I kept this up, I probably wouldn't see my 40th birthday. But I consider the Arctic a pretty safe environment, as long as you're not over crevasses and open water. That open water is the danger. It's usually your mistake. If you make an error, it's your mistake. So you rely a lot on your training, on your experience, your clothing, that. So you really play a really good edge there knowing the cold.
Well, despite all this great clothing you're telling us about, though, every time you come back from an expedition, we hear about how much frostbite. You look a lot different than you do right now.
Yeah.
From a lot of these expeditions too.
Well, you generally you freeze your face sometimes. That's part of nothing structural or any major problem. But I've never froze my fingers or toes in my life, so I'm always quite careful.
Does it hurt?
Yeah.
No, frostbite is like a bad sunburn.
Okay.
It's almost like I think you lose that layer of your skin. I think it's probably makes you look younger afterwards.
Because you glow right now. You're glowing.
Do you go to the hospital? I'm sure you get checkups once you come back.
Yeah, we do. We've done research since not many people do it. We do usually a very high-fat diet in extreme cold. So the scientists were curious on what conditions on cholesterol. But the research that we did is when we come back, the cholesterol level is either lower than we saw it or even. And that is, of course, you're burning up that fat. You're not collecting it in your arteries like you would, eating buttered sandwiches at the office.
So I got to back up here, and I got to ask the question, the overriding question, I guess, that everybody's wondering after hearing all this. What is it that goes on up here that makes you want to do all this?
Yeah.
Well, many of us relate to going to the Bounty Waters, that type of wilderness experience, and it's really a lot like that. It's just an incredible adventure. It's outdoors. It's almost a spiritual adventure in a way. It's a challenge. Sometimes it's extremely hard. But you're seeing areas that, in most cases, many people have never seen. The wildlife is utterly spectacular in certain areas, ice caps. So, to me, it's kind of a natural. Being raised in Minnesota, I think the cold and Northern European heritage, it all seems natural to me that, you seek out the colder weather.
Yeah, you live in Ely, so even when you're home, you're still in the colder weather.
The cold, yeah. A little bit colder. And I live pretty much, outside most of the time in Ely, too.
Wow.
Well, I know that Will fights hard for polar environmental issues too, and if you want to hear more from Will, you can do that. You can catch him in the next couple of days, as a matter of fact. He'll be opening the Minnesota Austrian Forum at the Radisson University Hotel on the U of M campus, speaking at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then he'll also be speaking at the Southside Family School Auditorium on Sunday afternoon from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Will, it is a real pleasure to have you here on Twin Cities
Well, thank you very
Live.
much
It's an
for having
honor.
me.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
It is an honor for
Thank
me.
Be
you.
safe on
Okay.
all your expeditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.